Picks and Bets, presented by Prize Picks here on the Mayo Media Network. I am Matt Moody, joined by DJ Mitchell, and we're here to talk about the one game that we have on Tuesday, June 1st. So, DJ, let me be the first to say happy June to you and happy June to everyone out there. And yeah, we've got one game on the docket here. So, did anything interesting happen maybe on Monday night or over the weekend that we should touch on first?
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching live, I did wear my USA hockey jersey in honor of Memorial Day, as we are still, we still got about 30 minutes left in Memorial Day. And I decided, you know what hat should I wear today? I decided to go with my Toronto Blue Jays because first off, I'm going to the game tomorrow in Buffalo. And second off, Toronto, top of mind. Is there anything you want to say, Matt, to start it off?
You know, somehow I didn't know. I just had no idea that going into the playoffs, the real winner would be the Buffalo Sabres. Now, here's my theory. Here's my theory on why this is true. I intentionally withheld it in our pre-show discussions. Okay, so one, we know that the Leafs are going to self-destruct. You know, it's going to be Dale Hunter, or was it Dale Hunter behind the bench in Washington? One of the Hunters, I feel like. Sure. Anyway, the guy who ruined Ovechkin. You know, they're going to just say, all right, we need defense, only defense. You know, nothing else matters. So, you know, that's going to happen. They might trade Nylander. They might, whatever. That doesn't matter. Like, you know, Keefe is gone. And if he's not gone, Dubas is gone. I mean, this is a colossal failure on every front from Toronto. But that's not it. Montreal, they suck. Bergevin's done a terrible job. And he's got a lifelong pass now to be the Habs GM because they beat the Leafs in a playoff series. This is excellent for the Buffalo Sabres. So that is why the real winner in these playoffs will not be the Stanley Cup winner, but it'll be the future of the Buffalo Sabres. Yeah, your thoughts?
Yeah, there's nothing brighter than the Buffalo Sabres future. Thank you for reminding me. It's like the sun in Alaska in their winter time. You just don't see it, and then it pops up for like 1 minute. It's just insane because we actually, both of us, I think, did pretty much the same thing and just stack up on Toronto on Monday night because it was like, all right, come on. Like, there's no way this Matthews line has been too good. Is this Jake Evans stuff real? And lo and behold, Carey Price stands on his head. Hyman had like 6 shots on net.
It wasn't even that, though. It wasn't even that. It was just the team was just awful. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I watched that and I still don't believe it. And I've watched that for the last, 6 years maybe. Yeah. And I still don't believe it.
So many of those years were like, they weren't there. They were there this year. Like, that team was ready to go. And on every aspect, they even had like pieces people wanted to root for. Like, I like Spezza, but everyone loves Thornton, you know? Yeah. I just, it's heartbreaking. To watch as a fan of terrible sports teams my whole life. I do feel really bad for any Maple Leafs fans out there, and congratulations to the Habs fans. You know, really, you get to not only move on to the second round against Winnipeg, who's also not very good, you also get to just take in all of the disappointment from Leafs fans, like just the energy that they're gonna they lose. Like,
and you get this for the next 2 decades at least.
Yes,
like any party, anything, you're done. You win any
even
argument.
If the Leafs win the cup next year, like, you can still be like, okay, but like, we gotta talk about 21. Yeah. Like, remember when you guys invited the healthcare workers to the game and you choked in front of them and they couldn't even get on the ice to see it? Like, there's so many lines. It's Matt, you had
all the jokes.
One about golfing. I mean,
thanks for teeing me up there, Deej. But yeah, you know, the Ontario area golf courses recently reopened last week. So, you know, the Leafs had to, get out of there and, finally get back on the course after a year and a half or whatever.
Yeah, they missed it so much. Anyway.
Any other thoughts there on the fallout from the end of round 1? Obviously, we have round 2 currently going. Only one of those games, though, is tonight. So, I mean, anything quick, or should we just talk about Tampa, Carolina?
I guess the quick notes are: don't overreact to one game. Don't just completely let the Colorado onslaught train run everything you do. I think it's worth running, and it's a really, really good stack, but I think it's going to be really highly owned on the next slate. You see them. Just try to look at every game through a new lens. And other than that, let's get started with that good stuff.
Yeah. All right. And before we talk a little bit about where you should go on Tuesday's action, let's talk a little bit about Prize Picks. As you all know, if you're listening to this show, Prize Picks is a place where you can basically look at a big board across all the sports, golf, NHL, basketball, baseball, so on, and select the over or the under on a given fantasy player's score. So the score is very easy for a sport like the NHL. All it is you get 3 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist, and a half point for a shot, a half point for a block. So you'll see all the players listed, and you'll be able to pick the over or the under. It's that easy. Make sure you sign up using promo code MMN when you do. And because there's only one game going on, you'll probably need to, for your Tuesday entries, mix in some basketball or some baseball. And there's a lot of stuff here on the Mayo Media Network, especially in the baseball. Check out the Mayo Media MLB show. Just a thought there if you want some Prize Picks there. But just mix that in with your NHL card, and there you go. You've got yourself a nice entry. A 5, you hit all 5, you could actually get up to 10 times your money back. So it's that simple. You just pick, at most 5 over unders, and you get your money. So head on over there, use promo code MMN when you sign up. And that's about it. So DJ, Carolina, Tampa. Let's just start from the beginning. What did you see in game 1? And, let's use that to sort of see what are we going to see in game 2.
Yeah, it's funny because game 1 kind of went exactly how I game scripted it. I thought Vasilevsky was going to be the best goalie on the slate. He was going to be very highly owned, but I still went with it. It worked out. He had the 35 shots, 35 saves right at the end. It actually was kind of a barn burner. I don't know if you were tracking that at all, but it was like 7 minutes left. He had 34 saves, and then it just got down to the final minute. Tampa gets the win there. I think Carolina, I would say outplayed them, but not badly. The metrics aren't, I would say they're probably a shade towards Carolina. The big news to note is the loss of Eric Chernak. We're not sure if he'll be back or not. I think both of us are kind of under the impression that it's possible. Matt, you had the quote from Cooper on that. So did you have that up still?
The quote's literally just, from Monday's practice, he's progressing. So, I don't know. They had Freddie Claesson lining up next to Ryan McDonough. And, is Claesson really a downgrade from a guy like Luke Shen? I don't know. So it is actually kind of tough to think of, one, does that tell us that Chernak's playing or not? And 2, if Chernak's out, what the hell happens? Because right. I don't think Claesson or Luke Shen are playing anywhere close to 20 minutes. So, hopefully Victor Hedman isn't as hurt as it appears he is, because he's, he definitely looks a bit slower than his bubble Victor Hedman, which was incredible. So, maybe a guy just can't maintain that level of play for, the next calendar year or whatever. But it is reason for concern. And so we're looking at the money lines here, and it's pretty much a straight up pick 'em.
Yeah.
So Carolina's still at home. Carolina, it wasn't badly outplaying by any stretch, but they outplayed Tampa pretty thoroughly. And, Tampa just out-talented them. They didn't make the colossal mistake like Nedeljkovic, there we go, made in the final minutes to just, completely sabotage his team's chances of winning. But otherwise, Ned was pretty good. So it's just like, how much do you really want to take from that one game where it kind of went if Tampa's going to win, it has to go this way. I think there's a lot of other ways that this series could go. So, I'll use the Chernak news maybe to some extent, but right now I'm in on this Canes team. Fool me once, Florida Panthers, shame on me, but fool me twice, shame on you, Carolina, if you can't get this done, especially if Chernak's out and you're going against some AHL defensemen. So that's where I'm leaning on the money line. But do you feel differently?
No, like I said, I think, Carolina, unless if they get Vasilevsky again, it could be the winner here. I think they outplayed them. Really, they outplayed them. It seems like with 3 of the 4 lines, and the point line got maybe the better of them in many aspects. At least it looks like that way from the shot charts and then metrics in that capacity. I do think that it's an important note, is especially on a showdown slate like this. It's game 2, still in Carolina. They get the matchups they want. They're going to dictate the game that way. So look at what Carolina did to do that. They put Hamilton and Slavin against that point line all day long. They both can't score at the same time. So that might sway the way you look at a showdown slate. that's just one angle on it, but definitely you're going to want to look at that and see what the matchups were, how those matchups fared. They're not gospel. Like the point line looked to get the better of the Aho line. That doesn't mean that, that couldn't change, one bounce one way and you could get, 2 shots, 3 shots. And now that they look a lot different. So it's not perfect, but definitely take that into consideration. But I do like Carolina here. I guess I slightly shade the under. Just because I think that Tampa's going to do, Carolina is definitely going to do everything they can to slow on that top line in Tampa. So I kind of like the second line in Tampa a little bit more, maybe, because they won't get that incredibly hard matchup. But overall, I just think this game under 5.5 seems pretty strong to me. I think the goaltending is solid. And I think the defense is really good. And they're going to roll the top guys.
It's real interesting because when these teams, the regular season for Tampa just doesn't mean much because, they obviously didn't have Kucherov. For large stretches, they didn't have Stamkos. It just obviously is a different team right now than it was in the regular season. But when these two teams played, they basically averaged like a half goal more expected goal each than you would expect, based on the average NHL team, let's say. So these were very high tempo matchups when these two teams played. And, it's certainly something that I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about the over-under here, because when you add in Kucherov, when you add in a, seemingly fully healthy Stamkos, should that really make it more of a defensive battle? And it's like, then I come back to, well, it's the playoffs and this, that, and the other thing. And so I kind of find myself coming down on the under. But for me, I am much more confident in the Kane side of things, or just the player props, than I am sort of on the over-under, because I think in this series, more so than almost any other, it just comes down straight up to goaltending. If Vasi and Nedeljkovic are just going to go, basically, blow for blow and just, not give up these goals to ridiculously talented players, then sure, the under will hit and, you're just betting on goalies here. So I kind of feel the under too, but that's not the bet that I'm most excited about here. So digging into some of these player props, was there any sort of spots, you mentioned the Tampa second line, anything else like that you think maybe could be useful as far as setting some of our player prop sites?
What else could be? I think that it's pretty easy as far as defensemen go, which I think is maybe where you might be going with this. There's probably 7 defensemen that are going to see a majority of the minutes, and if Cernak's back, we can maybe call that 8. So you can kind of toss out a few players from even consideration in any capacity, even though Jake Beam would have been one of those guys you tossed out and he scored. Are you looking at a shot prop, or are you looking at, what are you looking at right now? Give me some.
Yeah. So, well, obviously we have goal props. I'm managing to find on FanDuel some early posted points and shots on goal stuff. But for me, I guess an example is Marty Necas has managed to work his way onto the top power play for Carolina. Looks like they're sort of replacing Svechnikov. He managed to get back on that unit, I believe, for a small stretch of time. So who knows what they're doing. But Teravainen, Necas, and then Aho, Trocheck, and Hamilton were the top unit. And then Jordan Stahl and Svechnikov were like the second unit, around Jake Bean and whoever else. So Marty Necas to me is really interesting because he's come on real strong the last few games. Obviously, we saw him, come up huge at the end of the Nashville series for Carolina. And then he put up another 5 shots against Tampa here. So I'm looking at a shot prop over on FanDuel. It's over 2 at -108. Like, that seems really strong to me. Also supporting that is in the regular season against Tampa, he averaged 3.3 shots plus blocks per game. Not a huge number, but actually the best of any player in fantasy points per minute by a mile. The next closest guy was Blake Coleman, and it was, 4 DraftKings points per 20 minutes better on Marty Necas, which is a huge difference. So, that's just sort of the main spot I'm looking here is Marty Necas, but anything else like that you're interested in?
I think if Cernak's out, I definitely look at Hedman prop, whether it's a point or it's shots. He's at 2 shots. I'm trying to pull it back up really quick. 2.5 at +106. And I mean, if he's going to see 25, 30 minutes, that's definitely, I would think, better odds than a coin flip for him to get. He's, he had 8 blocks too. So if you find a blocks, I mean, I don't know, but if you find like 2 blocks or something, I think that's pretty strong. But if he's going to get the run that he saw in the last game, it's definitely there for me. Other than that, I really like that Nate Choss call. I think that if you want to get kind of crazy and you're trying to think like, man, I really want to take a goal prop that's going to be a little under the radar. The Lions in Carolina got shook up. I don't think they'll change him back. But a guy like McGinn is at least intriguing to me to score at plus 310. First off, he's done it multiple times, but he just will shoot the puck. And he's playing with Aho and Svechnikov, right? Teravainen. Depending on what you get it at, it's 310 on DraftKings. That's, I don't know. I could consider it, but I'd like to find it better. Over on FanDuel, it's 410. This is not bad. Like 410 is where I'm actually going to start getting interested in putting some money on it. So a whole 100, plus 100 better. That's pretty strong. This seems like FanDuel doesn't have that quite priced correctly based off his role and shot volume. So that's kind of another thing I'm looking at. I mean, this guy is at least every playoff game -1 he has a shot on goal. And that was like when he had 12 minutes, and now he's really seeing a more formidable role. So anything else we should get to, or any players you like?
Yeah, just sort of the point that you mentioned there is just a good reason to sort of shop your lines around. If you find a line you like on a guy, you might even find a better line on a different site. Just another example, Marty Necas on DraftKings is plus 245 to score a goal. On FanDuel, I'm seeing plus 290 right now. And, over the long run, if Marty Necas doesn't score, it doesn't matter what the line is. But over time, those sort of edges will just start to accrue, and you'll notice, better results in your, in your bank account or just your results spreadsheet or whatever you're tracking these on. You'll just see better results when you are doing the work to shop the lines and get the best possible line for you. I know Meany loves to shout out the FTN prop betting tool. I believe you can. What's it called? I'm literally blanking on the name of the FTN tool, but it's free for everyone. The Odds Shopper or something like that. I know Awesemo also has one that I think is also free. Again, not touting any sites or anything, because we're not directly affiliated at the Mayo Media Network. Me and DJ at least. But there are tons of good resources out there that you just got to find, and they will do a lot of this work for you. So that's just one general rule going into any slate, but especially this one. There's only one game. Just sort of hone in on your process and things like that, because there's so much more time to take advantage of.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Other than that, so I think really quickly we should at least give a couple of our favorites. We already have, so we may just repeat the same ones, but I think my favorite bet, I really do kind of like going around Hedman. Like I said, I think Hedman to get a point is probably the safest way of going about it. It's -136 on FanDuel, and those are the odds I have in front of me. So I'm going to say that for now. You can't really parlay a lot of stuff. You have a lot of straight bets. I think that's a really good one to include in the mix, just because, you look at a guy like Aho, he has to get one on FanDuel or you don't get anything. So the break even for one plus 118, he's -136 over. If he gets a point, he hits. If that makes sense. So it's like, how much different are these guys to get a point? Yeah, I think Aho is slightly better, but not that much. So kind of like looking around at the players in that range and kind of see the edge that Hedman kind of gives you.
Yeah. So for me, it's going to be Marty Necas. That I already said it. I already gave the reasoning. But just, if you're playing DraftKings Showdown, like Showdown's definitely a different format than just the regular sort of slates. For me at least, Showdown is much more dependent on stars and scrubs type approaches. Guys who are 2.5 or 2.9 or 3.1 on a normal full slate, it doesn't really matter that price difference. But those sorts of guys on the Showdown slates, like a guy say Jan Ruda, 3.4. The 1,400 to get from him down to say Jesper Fast or Luke Shen, it's a huge deal when it comes to getting these sort of ceiling type guys, the Kucherovs, the Stamkoses, the Dougie Hamiltons, that I wouldn't just sort of blindly throw in a guy who's 4K just because. So you really kind of got to look at this 2K range and just try to find some cheap guys, in my opinion. I think that's much more valuable than getting, a 7K guy and a 4K guy. Well, when you can get, a true 9K stud and a 2K punt, because the 2K and the 4K, they're all the same in Showdown in my experience. Obviously, certain cases different and all that. But just one sort of thought, if you're playing the Showdown here, to be helpful. So, DJ, anything else before we head on out of here?
No, definitely. If you're doing the Showdown, pick a game script and then make your lineup to that. It's really not that much different than football in that capacity, where you're thinking like, this is a score I want to go with, and that's how I'm going to make my lineup. It's pretty simple. So if you say like, I think this game's going to go way under and I like 2-0, well, you're like, only you think is going to get the shutout better be your captain, and you like it's not that hard. Like, so yeah, it's that's definitely the way to do it. Other than that, no, just thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of this podcast all year and continuing on. Hopefully you guys are enjoying your summer in some capacity, and doing whatever you can. So hopefully we can just keep making a little bit more money to enjoy it even more.
Absolutely. And like always, we'll be back on Thursday. So check it out. Check it out Thursday, and also check it out Monday and Wednesday and Friday too, and over the weekend. Hell, there's content every day on the Media Network. So just make sure you're not missing out. When there's hockey, we'll be here, even if it's only one game. So with all that said, be sure to check out prizepicks.com. Let them know we sent you by using promo code MMN. It would be a huge help, a big support of the show and of them for sponsoring the show, making it possible. So big thanks to Prize Picks there. And from DJ and myself, best of luck on Tuesday night, everybody, and we will see you.